I'm 90 years old, and I still remember the exact moment I stopped trying. It wasn't dramatic. There was no argument, no door slamming, no final conversation. It was a Tuesday afternoon in April 1987. I was 51. I was sitting in my car in the driveway, and I realized I didn't want to go inside. Not because anything was wrong, because nothing was right anymore. And I just let it be that way. I've thought about that moment every day since, not because I'm proud of it, but because it's the moment everything that came after was decided. I just didn't know it yet. I grew up in a house where you didn't talk about feelings. You worked, you provided, you showed up. That was love. My father never told me he was proud of me, but he taught me how to frame a wall, how to read a blueprint, how to shake a man's hand and mean it. I thought that was enough. I married young. Her name was Catherine. Everyone called her Kathy. She had dark hair, and she laughed at things I didn't think were funny, and that made me feel like maybe I was missing something good. I liked that feeling. We had 2 daughters, Anne and Laura. I worked in construction, long hours, good pay. I built things that are still standing. Houses. A library over in Camden. I was proud of that work. I thought I was building a life for them, but I wasn't in it. I was next to it. Kathy used to try. She'd ask me things. How was your day? What are you thinking? Do you want to talk? And I'd give her the same answers. Fine. Nothing. Not really. Not because I was angry. I just didn't know what she wanted me to say. I didn't think there was anything to say. I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do. I thought showing up was the same as being present. After a while, she stopped asking. I noticed, but I didn't say anything. The girls were young then. Anne was 7, maybe 8. Laura was 5. They'd run to the door when I came home, and I'd ruffle their hair, ask them if they were being good. They'd nod. I'd sit down. Kathy would bring me dinner. It sounds nice when I say it like that, but I wasn't really there. I was tired. I was thinking about the job, about the invoice I forgot to send, about the guy who didn't show up that morning. I'd sit there at the table, and they'd be talking, and I'd hear the words, but I wasn't listening. Anne once asked me to help her with a school project, something about the solar system. She wanted to build Saturn out of papier-mâché. She had the whole thing planned out. She was so excited. I told her I'd help over the weekend. I didn't. I don't remember why. I just know I didn't. She never asked me again. Kathy started doing things without me. She'd take the girls to the park, to her sister's house, to the movies on Saturday afternoons. She stopped asking if I wanted to come. I told myself it was fine. I had things to do. The garage needed organizing. The lawn needed mowing. I'd finish, and the house would be empty, and I'd sit in the living room with the TV on, not really watching it. I thought that's just what life was. You get older. You get tired. You run out of things to say. The moment I remember happened on a Tuesday. I'd been working on a job site about 40 minutes away, framing a house for a couple who kept changing their minds about the layout. It was frustrating work. I left late. Sat in traffic. Got home around 6:30. I pulled into the driveway, and I sat there. The porch light was on. I could see Kathy moving past the kitchen window. I could hear the girls laughing about something. The radio was on inside. Everything looked normal, but I didn't want to go in, not because I was angry, because I didn't know what to do once I got inside. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to be part of whatever was happening in there. I felt like I'd forgotten how. Or maybe I never knew, so I sat there for maybe 10 minutes. And then I went inside. I said hello. I sat down. Kathy brought me dinner. The girls talked about school. I nodded. I answered when I was supposed to. But something in me had already made a decision. I stopped trying. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't even think it clearly. But I stopped trying to figure out how to be closer. I stopped trying to say the right thing. I stopped hoping they'd understand me or that I'd understand them. I just accepted the distance. Script, part 2. It got easier after that. Not better. Easier? I stopped feeling guilty when I didn't know what to say. I stopped feeling bad when Kathy planned things without me. I stopped worrying that the girls didn't come to me with their problems. I told myself it was just how things were. Men like me, we weren't built for all that talking, all that emotional stuff. We worked, we provided, that was our job. The rest of it, that was for other people. I believed that for a long time. Anne left for college in 1995. She went to a school 3 hours north. We helped her move into her dorm. Kathy cried the whole way home. I didn't. I thought I was being strong. But really, I just didn't know how to feel it. Anne called every Sunday for the first few months. Kathy would talk to her for an hour. Then she'd hand me the phone, and I'd ask how her classes were, if she needed anything. She'd say no. I'd say okay. We'd talk for maybe 3 minutes. After a while, she stopped asking for me. Kathy would tell me later what Anne had said, about her friends, about the boy she was seeing, about the professor who scared her, about the time she got sick and didn't tell us because she didn't want us to worry. I'd nod. I'd say that's good. Or that's too bad. But I wasn't part of it anymore. Lavra was different. She tried longer than Anne did. She'd still ask me to come to things, her basketball games, her choir concerts, her high school graduation party. I went to some of them, but I didn't really show up. I'd stand in the back. I'd clap when everyone else clapped. I'd leave early if I could. One time, she must have been 16, she asked me to take her driving. She'd just gotten her learner's permit. She was nervous. She wanted me to take her to the empty lot behind the old grocery store, let her practice. I said I would. But I kept putting it off. And then one day, Kathy told me she'd already been practicing with her friend's dad. Lavra never asked me again. Kathy and I stopped talking about real things somewhere around 2001. We talked about the bills, about what needed fixing, about what her sister said on the phone, about whether we needed milk, but we didn't talk about us. We didn't talk about the fact that we'd been sleeping in the same bed for 30 years and I couldn't remember the last time I'd really looked at her. We didn't talk about the fact that we barely touched anymore. We didn't talk about the fact that I didn't know what she was afraid of or what she wanted or what she dreamed about when she couldn't sleep. I thought we were fine. I thought that's just what marriage became. She got sick in 2009, breast cancer. They caught it early. She had surgery, radiation. She lost her hair. She was tired all the time. And I didn't know what to do. I drove her to her appointments. I sat in the waiting room. I picked up her prescriptions. I made sure she ate. But I didn't ask her if she was scared. I didn't hold her hand. I didn't tell her I didn't know what I'd do if I lost her, because I didn't know how. She recovered. The doctor said she was doing well. Everyone celebrated, but something had changed. She looked at me differently after that, not angry, not disappointed, just distant, like she'd realized something she didn't want to say out loud. Anne got married in 2011. It was a small wedding, outside, late summer. She looked beautiful. She asked me to walk her down the aisle. I did. But when we got to the front and the officiant asked who gives this woman, I said the words I was supposed to say and I stepped back. And I realized I didn't know her. I didn't know what her favorite book was. I didn't know what she was afraid of. I didn't know what she and her fiancé talked about late at night. I didn't know what kind of father she hoped he'd be. I'd been in her life for 28 years, and I didn't know her. Lavra moved to Oregon in 2013. She got a job with some environmental nonprofit. She called to tell us she was going. She sounded excited. Kathy cried. I said, "That's great, honey. I'm proud of you," but I wasn't sure I meant it. Not because I wasn't proud, because I didn't know if I had the right to be. Kathy died in 2018, a stroke. She was in the garden. I was inside. I heard a sound. I didn't even know what it was at first, and I went out and found her on the ground. She was gone before the ambulance got there. I held her hand, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time I told her I loved her.